Hello, peoples of the interwebs. I am once again Zarlin, and I want to talk about reptiles again. Now, a while ago, I made a video about reptiles and how I thought that they, they have a lot of good things going for them, but they're just missing a few things. Now, I'm not saying that these are going to be tier 0 or whatever, but after doing a little bit of tinkering, the upcoming Therion support helps this deck a lot. So, the original grouping of Therions gave us, of course, Therion King Regulus, which is an Omni Negate, which any deck would like to have. But, in the upcoming Power of the Elements, there's also Therion Empress Alasia, who is a level 8 reptile, which unfortunately is Earth instead of light or dark, so it doesn't go perfectly with Ogdoadics, but besides all that, just being a level 8 reptile actually helps this deck a lot, and I'll go over some replays in a little bit about what I'm talking about. This deck is not perfect, but this is what I've been trying to test a little bit with, and I'm enjoying it very much. Obviously, we still have problems. This deck still is a little hand trap aphobic, and we worry a lot about Snake Rain. Snake Rain is like our main playmaker, but I feel like some version of this deck can be quite good in the future. I'm not that sure about Ogdo Abyss. He's kind of here just because he can be maybe a good turn 2 play to wipe your opponent's field, but that's to be seen. Therion King Regulus is, of course, just a free Omni Negate. Unfortunately, he is a machine, but he is still an Omni Negate. Aaron, Ogdoadic King, isn't super useful, but if he does just kind of sit on the field, he can lock your opponent from drawing extra cards. But he's level 8, so he's actually a good boy for kind of what this deck is trended towards. Before, we used to go for at least the builds I went for doing level 4, rank 4 plays, and maybe going into synchros, which is what I talked about in my last video. But this deck actually focuses more on the level 8 plays you can do. Chaos Creator is basically here as a level 8 that we can special summon. He can clog your hand a little bit, which is why you only run one of them. But we're mostly running lights and darks anyways, so if you want to run Levianair Dragon, you can run that as well. But I don't know, I felt like Chaos Creator kind of does what the deck wants more than Levianair does, at least when you're going first. Now we've got Therion Empress Alasia. Her big thing is, first off, you can special summon her by equipping a reptile from your grave. And guess what our grave has a lot of usually? Reptiles. So it's just a free level 8 summon. Or you can use Regulus. Unfortunately, you can only summon Regulus with the Empress here, Alasia, whatever you want to call her. So you have to have an Alasia in your grave in order to summon Regulus, which can be a problem. But when she is equipped to Regulus, you can discard a card and summon her to the field. So, a level 8 body that we can go into Xyz's place. Aliert, I don't even know how to say his name. He is once again a level 8 body that you can special from the graveyard. Also, when you special him, you can get some of your banished reptiles back into the graveyard. We've got Kyrse, which is really good for grabbing a level 4. You usually want to grab the dark level 4, so you can grab a spell card as well. But regardless, it's more, it's a level 8 body, again. And we usually don't want to run, at least I feel like, you don't really want to run more than like one of each of the level 8s. But maybe I'm wrong. And I'm wrong because I'm not that smart. But regardless, it's been doing pretty good for me so far. And if you get a good enough hand, you can pretty much see everything you want to see anyways. Stealth Buster is kind of limited. He's just kind of a special search that we can get off of our link monsters. But what we usually search is Alien Kid. Now, I was dumb in my last video and didn't know about the synergy between Alien Kid and Zerol. So, Alien Kid, all monsters that your opponent special summons gets a counter on them. Zerol, my thing's not moving. Everyone with a counter on them, monsters with A counters are changed to defense position, and they can't activate their effects. So, you just kind of like stop the effects of anything they special summon if you have both Zerol and Kid on the field. Kind of useful. Kodal is a free special summon if you have a dark reptile on the field. It's a little harder in this version than it is in the other version, but it's still a very useful level 4 body, and it's really the only tuner we're running. Lamia is actually quite good because she can grab Alasia. It doesn't require dark or light, just a level 8 reptile. That's what Alasia is. We usually don't want to use our normal summon, though, because our normal summon is usually used for Alien Kid. Night Sword Serpent is a level 4 that we bin with our Snake Rain, and you just get a free level 4 body. Level 4 is still quite useful because we obviously still want to go into King of the Feral Imps. And then we've got our Nau and our Nunu for, Nunu dumps Nau and then revives itself for a level 4 body on the field. Nau usually gets rezzed by Kyrse to get a spell search. I'm running Ash in this because it's Ash Blossom. Foolish Burial. We want reptiles in the graveyard. This gets us a reptile in the graveyard. Monster Reborn. We want reptiles out of the graveyard. Gets them out of the graveyard if they're stuck there. Of course, Water Lily is wonderful. It's a Foolish Burial, an extra copy of Foolish Burial, or 3 extra copies of Foolish Burial, actually. And if we've got 5 reptiles, which we usually do, we get to special summon. So it's both Foolish Burial and Monster Revive in one. It's great. Snake Rain's our main playmaker, as I said before. Dump 5 reptiles into the grave. Well, usually 5 reptiles. The card from the hand doesn't have to be a reptile, but you know. Then I'm running Terraforming and the Therion Discoliseum, the Disco Coliseum, because we want to see either Regulus or Alasia. Having them search just by having the field spell is great. And I'm also, this is kind of like the 40th card in the deck. It can be a lot of different things, but I want to test out Ogdoadic Serpent Strike. The replays I have set up don't currently have this in the deck, so you won't see it in the replays that I have set up, but this is what I'm currently testing. Extra deck. Chaos Ruler is wonderful for this deck. You just get to bin 5 cards, and most of them are light or dark, so you get a special summon one. This deck doesn't go into Melusine as much, but still can. It's just a big level 8 body that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, and occasionally can do some things. Because we go into so many Xyz, we've got a Zeus here, just for Zeus things. Hope Harbinger. He's a really good level, or rank 8, sorry. And also can be used for Dragooblion if we need to. Dragooblion is for OTKing with Numeron Dragon, of course, because we have rank 8s that we can go into. That's what Lancelot is also here for, because we occasionally do want to go into Hope Harbinger without Dragooblion. So, never mind. I was talking out my ass. Don't worry. Lancelot's kind of here for Zeus plays if we want to. I don't know what I was talking about. But also, the Undead Vampire is a very strong card that we usually will go into directly after doing Chaos Ruler to get even more stuff in the graveyard. Also, the Zombie Vampire will trigger Serpent Strike if it's on the field. So, yeah. Redoer is here as a kind of generic rank 4 if we ever want to go into that. But usually we're going into King of the Feral Imps. And we've got Baguska as like, if you've got a really crummy hand, maybe use this as a plan B. Of course, Numeron Dragon, as stated before. Then I already kind of went over Slicer Zerol, but our end board will usually want to have this on the field. And these two are kind of our links to go into Zerol, usually. Because Nunu has to go into, like, locks you into reptiles while it's on the field, usually you're going into, like, M-Frame or Echidna or King of the Feral Imps while he's on the field. So, yeah. Now I'm just gonna show you a couple replays about what I think this deck can do. Not in an MBT way, but whatever. And I'll see you in a bit. This is kind of, I wouldn't say a best case scenario, but this is like how far we can kind of go with this Dragon Link combo, except with snakes instead of dragons. So, first off, I do want to say Since we started with 2 Colosseums, dumping one of them is good. Although we probably wanted to bait an Ash out first. And also, starting with Nunu probably would have been better as well. But regardless, we used our Snake Rain to dump our extra copy of Colosseum. And we dumped these 4 reptiles: Curse, Alyert, Eron, and Alacia into the grave. Unfortunately, we don't get the special. We can't activate Nightsword Serpent effect because of being the discard being cost instead of the effect. So we can't proc our 1 copy of Nightsword Serpent. It's unfortunate. And then, of course, with the Colosseum, we get the Regulus. We use the Nunu to dump the Nau. I don't even know how to say that card's name. Special the Nunu. Normal the Nightsword Serpent. It's a little crusty, but we get our King of the Feral Imps to go into Codal. Then we use Curse to dump our King of the Feral Imps. Curse's effect will grab Nau. Now will grab us Water Lily. And we can activate Codal. So we can go into Chaos Ruler. Dump even more things into the grave. We grabbed Kid into our hand because he's kind of hard to get out of the grave. And everything else go into the grave because that's fine. And then, of course, we've got our zombie vampire here to dump even more things into the grave. And because we dumped another Alacia, we get to special summon her. Bring the Chaos Ruler out again by banishing 2 of our boys. And unfortunately, he does get to get a card from his graveyard into his hand by doing Alyert after we do the vampire, but we'll deal with it. We get to send 2 of our reptiles from Banish back into the graveyard and activate Water Lily. And get to special summon our Nightsword Serpent. They get to go into Zerol. Zerol adds Stealth Buster since we already have Alien Kid in our hand. And we activate Regulus. We activated Regulus pretty late into this. We could have put him up a lot earlier to like stop Nibiru. And that's obviously a problem with this replay. I wasn't thinking about Nibiru because this is a bot that I'm just doing combos off of. But in a world, you want to put Regulus out much earlier than this. Then we get to discard Stealth Buster, which allows us to activate Stealth Buster so we can summon Alacia. And then we get to activate Zerol to get rid of the counters so we can get an extra summon of Kid. And then we put the Chaos Ruler and the Alacia that we summoned back into Hope Harbinger for a spell negate. So anything they special summon will get a counter. They cannot activate the effects. We've got a spell negate. And we've got an Omni Negate. Not half bad. There are decks that can make better end boards, but this is a pretty okay end board in my opinion. Like I said, there's stuff that we can tweak to make this better against certain hand traps, but there we go. Now I'm going to let this one just kind of play for itself, but this is basically what happens when we don't have Snake Rain in the hand. As good, but we still can get Zerol and the Regulus out for an Omni. Not as good. Like I said, we kind of rely on a little bit of luck for the perfect end boards. But I still think Zerol with an Omni is a pretty okay end board. Once again, hand traps notwithstanding. And I just want to say, this is the kind of hands that made me stop playing Legionnaire. And this kind of hand can still happen in the current deck that I'm playing, but when you get this kind of hand, it shows why this deck isn't good. You know, isn't top tier, I should say. But yeah, thank you for watching. Tell me what you think of the power of reptiles and the upcoming support that we get for Therions and all the other good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, bell, YouTube analytics. But regardless, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.